On this episode, we figure out what a Russian chain match is, talk about the RKO banned at Extreme Rules, Neville vs. Ziggler, Attitude Era Raws, Fandangoing, and more now on Byte That. Welcome everybody, you are listening to episode 86 of Byte That, the semi-somewhat maybe international professional wrestling podcast where we talk about the ups and downs of that which we love, which is Ric Flair playing musical chairs. Thanks for listening and checking out the show. Remember, we are available every single Tuesday night on Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, iTunes, ByteThat.com, and of course, if you want to listen to the podcast and you want a little bit more while still getting the show, go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ByteThatCast. My name is Juan Velez. I am from, and I still am, and I probably will be from San Juan, Puerto Rico. And joining me as always first, from Boston, Massachusetts, the Sex Stallion, Ryan McNulty, people.
Juan, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be on this this lovely show for the 84th time.
Yeah, we can actually count your absences. Keith and I are not doing too great, but you know what? It's the love that matters. And speaking of Keith from Winnipeg, Manitoba, how you doing, bro?
You know, Ryan, you disappoint me so much every week with your intro. A little behind the scenes here. Before the show, he gets all pumped up, he gets all fired up, he's ready to go, and then it's like, hey, happy to be here. So, energy. I demand it next week. I
think you need a little bit more of that hand motion you do.
I don't think I need any more of that, trust me.
Let's keep going. So
that
obviously,
one was for the ladies.
Sir, yes, sir. So we have a lot of things to talk about regarding Raw. We got a couple of news we're going to be sharing that have been breaking out within the past couple of days. Obviously, this Raw was pre-taped. So I always like to open it up with this question when it happens is, how is your expectation going into a show that you know that when you start watching, it's already happened?
Usually it's a big disappointment. Because spoilers leak out and sometimes you hear things before you want to, and it also just takes away that feeling of anything can happen. I actually didn't run into any spoilers anyway. It was tempting, but I just stayed away from it and just watched it like I would any other Raw.
Yeah, pretty much. I try to avoid that kind of thing. Sometimes, you know, I will disagree with the whole it kind of takes away the anything can happen thing, because if you remember correctly, the last time they taped a show, the internet exploded in rage because they quote-unquote stripped Daniel Bryan of the title on that Raw. So sometimes some fun things can come out of it.
Yeah, what I love about it is that the UK, all these audiences react so differently to, like, even the smarky crowds, if you will, in New York and all that. So I was looking forward to it, although obviously my attention span wasn't all that great. If you follow us on Instagram, Byte That, I was actually baking some banana bread, which was delicious, by the way. So we talked about the fact that it was pre-taped. Now, after it ended, give us your quick review, Ryan.
About the ending of Raw?
Yeah, just like overall impressions.
Oh, overall, it was a pretty solid show. I mean, I wouldn't say it was one of the best, but it just felt like, things were kind of moving forward. It wasn't just kind of like a show where you felt like they just kind of threw matches to entertain the UK crowd and nothing really happened. They definitely had story progression and, a couple of really solid matches.
Yeah, it was a very solid middle-of-the-road Raw. There was nothing that really, was bad, but nothing big happened. Just progression and good matches. And really, those are some of the best Raws as far as I'm concerned.
Well, something kind of big, I guess, happened maybe? I want to bring this up. And so we had this random match that, seemingly just would end. We had Stardust taking on Fandango. And then after the match, Fandango, for no reason, pretty much turned babyface. We were back to the cha-cha-cha Fandango. He apparently dumped Rosa Mendes because, that pairing, those feuds that they were involved, man, unforgettable.
Really left an impact on the industry,
Yeah, really with Fandango, it's like he was at the bottom of the card with his original gimmick, then he changed it and went absolutely nowhere, so why not go back?
Is there a place that's below the bottom of the card? Because that's where he went.
I know it's ridiculous because not to hate on Rosa Mendes, but I kind of am. But I've just never seen what she's good at. She has a Hispanic female that cannot speak Spanish. She did nothing as a diva, did nothing as a manager, and can't even dance with Fandango. So I don't know what happened. I don't know what's going to happen with her, but I guess they got to have her for the demographic. So what do you think about Fandango going back to his old ways?
Does anyone else have the feeling that I have where it's, the UK crowd just really loves that song and it was just a crowd pleaser moment, and we won't see Fandango again unless you're watching Main Event or Superstars or something?
I think it'll be a thing where it's exactly that, and then they'll try it again and it won't work, and then history will just repeat itself.
Yeah, it's very sad. I've brought up in the podcast a couple of times, I loved him in the original NXT, or NXT Redemption, I should say, when he was Johnny Curtis. Weird guy. I mean, he had some great stuff with Derek Bateman, who's now EC3 and TNA, so just let the guy loose. I mean, maybe this is the start of it, but I think that after 1 week, people are going to be like, oh, great, you're back to doing that thing. Can we just not care about you again? And bringing up something that I don't necessarily care about, but that is happening, is the Roman Reigns feud with The Big Show. We talked about it on the previous show, no pun intended. And personally, I just still don't care about
really
it.
Bad.
Yeah, I know. But this was the show where we sort of heard a little bit more about Reigns after WrestleMania, sort of, the backlash, everything that's been going on. So taking it to you first, Ryan. Does this change anything from last week?
I mean, I actually enjoyed Reigns' promo, and he definitely seems, he's more reactive to the crowd. I mean, he's not amazing, but I definitely think he's better. And it's like, it's better for him to actually react to a crowd than kind of just try and speed through his lines as fast as he can. As far as this feud, it's exactly like we were talking about last week. If you want to get Reigns over, this isn't probably the best route to go. We've seen Reigns and Big Show fight a million times. I mean, we all know Reigns is going to win. There's really no stakes. It's just kind of like recycled. They might have already faced each other at a previous pay-per-view. I don't even, maybe I might be wrong on that, but they've had way too many matches at this point. And it's
they've been involved at some point.
Yes. And it really
Didn't
just
the
seems
Big Show
like
beat Roman Reigns leading up to WrestleMania or something like that?
As you can tell, we have the WWE effect. So if it happened a little more over a month ago, we just sort of forget about it.
That's how memorable it
they
was,
might
basically.
be, Vince might be more right on the whole wrestling amnesia thing than we all think.
Damn.
But either way, it's like, I don't know anyone who really wants to see this feud. I mean, you could have put a ton of other guys in that spot, and I think I would have been way more excited to see Reigns face them.
Trying to play devil's advocate, and I'm stretching it really hard here. Do you think that this is maybe a test for Reigns? Because, I mean, we have a unanimous reaction to it. And I know people on Twitter have also been sending us things regarding this, and maybe it's Roman Reigns' job to make people care about this. Do you think that maybe that's a possibility?
It's a hell of a test, because I can't think of anybody that would go in the ring with the Big Show that I'd be excited about. If there was a Big Show Daniel Bryan feud, I'd be kind of upset about that, actually. I just think it wouldn't be that interesting to me. And it's like, I mean, I'm not trying to knock on the Big Show too much, but I think that he's just been kind of played out, and there's really nothing left. He doesn't have a lot to offer anymore, I feel like, almost.
Yeah, it's definitely something that the Big Show's kind of plagued with at this point, but to kind of turn that around on you, what is that thing that Roman Reigns can do to make it interesting? Because I, quite frankly, have no idea.
Yeah, because that's the problem, because let's face facts. There's only so much Big Show can actually do in the ring. There's only so much Roman Reigns can do on the microphone, and then his moveset is very limited. So I would prefer it wouldn't happen, but if a Dana Bryan Big Show match happened, I care about those matches way more because of David and Goliath thing. But in this case, it's similar fighting styles, except Roman Reigns is fast because of his size and all that. So, yeah, personally, I just don't care, but it's happening.
The only thing that I can see really happening with this feud is kind of hitting home that point that Roman just won't give up. Like, that was kind of the whole story but behind him and Brock, where he kept kicking out and kicking out. So there's probably going to be a spot some point in the match where the Big Show hits the knockout punch on Roman and Roman still kicks out. And that's probably going to be the big moment. And that's really all that accomplishes, and that's really not much.
Yeah, nobody's really going to care because anything Big Show does is just a lesser version of what Brock did at WrestleMania. You know, you're supposed to kind of be raising the stakes, not lowering them. So that's why I feel like it's not going to do anything.
Yeah, obviously we'll talk about this more in the future, but just as an anecdote, I guess. It's so crazy just how much time WWE invested in Roman Reigns for WrestleMania. Now, obviously, the fans have a lot to do with the changes that happen, I guess. But just, it's crazy how you go from all that hype, you know, Royal Rumble, all of this, to then Big Show. Because even Kane I would care more about. I'm honest about that. And then it kind of sucks. And I want to switch it now to another guy that's sort of not in limbo, but we brought it up last week, Bray Wyatt with his promos on Raw. We're not really sure who he's talking to. Because last week I mentioned that I was on Ryan's boat, which is a very nice boat, by the way, that it's going to be The Undertaker. You're welcome. It's going to be The Undertaker probably. But now I don't know. It's so much back into what we were sort of complaining. Like, you can cut a promo. We get it. You know, there is a reason why people change the things up a bit, just so we don't find out you're a one-trick pony. And I'm not saying Bray Wyatt is, but WWE is definitely doing a good job of making it seem that way. So what do you guys think?
No, I think it's completely true. I mean, this feud is no different than his feud with The Undertaker. And once again, we just still have not heard from the other side. You know, Undertaker never even said one word to Bray Wyatt. And I feel like that cheapened that feud a lot. And now, obviously we're going to find out soon. A lot of people thought it might have been Roman Reigns, but now it looks like obviously they're going with Reigns and the Big Show. So who is it? Someone had a really cool fan theory of it being Goldust. It was mentioned on Squared Circle that they could do some really cool angle with that. But I mean, you go from Undertaker to Goldust.
Yeah.
Yeah. But who else? I mean, who's on Undertaker level? Like, how do you build Bray Wyatt back up?
Well, I don't think anybody's there, but the person it kind of sounded like to me was Ryback. Because the whole, before WrestleMania and everything, Ryback was cutting those promos about how he was really depressed, and then he found the WWE, and then his whole life changed around, and Wyatt's kind of centering on the whole, well, they love you. And right now Ryback's a face, right? And I'm going to take that all away. So I don't know. That's what I got from it. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
I do think it's kind of cool. I actually would not mind that. What's annoying to me, I don't know if it's as annoying to you, the fact that he keeps branding himself as the new face of fear.
That bothers the living S out of me, because the whole thing was, you beat the Undertaker, you become the new face of fear. Now he just seems like a weird child that's in denial. Yeah. It's like, I lost, but dang it, I still did it.
Unless they're gonna do
I don't like
the Triple H thing again, where a year later, Undertaker comes back you keep calling yourself the new face of fear, but that's probably not going to happen. So yeah, it just makes Bray Wyatt look bad, and it makes his character not as intimidating, because now he's just completely in denial. It's like, why am I even supposed to believe it? You didn't even do it.
Wyatt should have won, plain and simple.
But
he should have beaten the Undertaker.
As far as a feud with Ryback, I mean, it makes sense because neither of them have a program right now. So that seems like the logical conclusion. I don't know how great of a match that would be, but you know what? It's something different, and maybe they might actually build this Bray Wyatt feud in a different way than the other ones. But so far, it's exactly like The Undertaker's.
If there's a pay-per-view to have that match at, Extreme Rules is probably one of the best ones you can be, because they don't have to have a wrestling match. They can have some sort of brawl or hardcore match. So maybe that'll be good.
Yeah, we'll stay in touch. And on the topic of giants, it seems to be a thing in this episode. Kane. So obviously Triple H and Stephanie were not at Raw, so Kane was sort of the leading heel / manager / a little bit of a jack of all trades. There was this thing going on between Rollins and Kane that led to a match. They kept poking fun of the finger poke of doom from WCW. That annoyed the crap out of me because come on, you're really comparing Hogan and Nash, with a bunch of build up to then this Raw. Fine, I guess, but. Do you think that they're doing a decent job of making Kane somewhat relevant? Because obviously I think he's on the very similar boat, not yours, Ryan, but sort of Big Show's boat, where what can you do with the guy except put the mask back on?
Exactly. I was actually going to bring this up earlier, but yeah, Kane and the Big Show. I think I was reading the Masked Man's article on Grantland or something like that, where he was just kind of talking about how like these guys have been on TV for so long, and I think it's kind of just gotten to the point where most people are just kind of tired of them. Like, there was a reason the crowd just went, just completely turned on, at the Royal Rumble when, they were some of the last people left, because it's just, they've been around for so long, if you think about it. And I think people are just kind of getting sick of them.
I think the WWE has conditioned us as fans in a weird way in this respect. Because usually the guys that have been around that long, like your RVDs and your Jerichos, they're part-timers, right? So you expect them to see every once in a while, then you have your fill, and then you move on. With things like Kane and the Big Show, you get that fill, and then they keep putting it down your throat and make you eat and eat and eat until you suffocate. So maybe the answer is for the Big Show and Kane to become part-timers?
And I think even then it's a stretch because RVD, Jericho, they're human beings. Same thing like John Cena.
So what are you saying about Kane and the Big Show?
Well, kayfabe-wise, Kane's supposed to be this monster that was burned and blah, blah, blah. And Big Show's the Big Show, a giant, freak of nature.
And you could also take into account the fact that, Big Show and Kane alike, babyface heel. They've turned, Kane's the demon. He puts the mask on, he takes the mask off. He puts the mask on, he takes the mask off. We've just seen like so many iterations of them, of just like going back and forth or just like changing things and, for no reason sometimes. And it's just like we've seen it all, and it's like it doesn't even surprise us anymore if, something changes in their character. So that being said, this whole segment with Kane I'm still more interested in what Kane's doing than the Big Show. They at least made their fingered poke of doom type match a little interesting. Like you thought, oh, maybe Kane was done with the Authority, but then in the end he just complied.
So obviously at the end of the day he still chokeslammed Rollins and all that, even though he covered him. So 2 questions. Number 1, will this mean the end of Kane and the Authority? Number 2, probably putting the tinfoil hat back on, but do you think that maybe it made Rollins look a little bit too weak? I'm just saying that because obviously the chokeslam isn't seen as such a power move anymore in wrestling, and then he's the champion, and then, sort of how that ended. I don't know.
Well, to go to your first question, I think it's going to lead to Kane leaving the Authority because they played it so Kane did just enough to get somebody mad. Like, he did the job, but he still took out Seth Rollins in a weird way. And I don't really think that made it look weak, or Seth Rollins any weaker, as opposed to making Kane look a little stronger. Like, I don't think it was a detriment to Seth Rollins at all.
And I'm actually going to go the other side and say that he did just enough to not get kicked out of the Authority. And I don't really think there's, like, what is he going to do if he's not in the Authority? What?
Probably feud with them. Probably end up like a Kane versus the Big Show thing. We get the best of both worlds then.
Well, the seeds could be planted for that because he had that backstage segment with D-Bry. So maybe they even sort of reform Hell No at some point. It's a possibility because D-Bry is the Intercontinental Champion, so that can take a little break. He can do that, feud with Rollins and I don't know who, I guess, but...
Is anybody getting excited for any of this?
Not really,
Nope.
But it seems intriguing.
I think we've spent enough.
It's character development with Kane.
Way too much time talking about Kane and the Big Show.
To be fair, it's character development with Kane, and that could potentially be something. It might not be something exciting, but it's something.
Exactly. So, Ryan, you want excitement, right? You want excitement,
Of course.
Ryan. No, I need to feel it, Ryan.
Yeah.
Feel it. Okay, so Russian chain match, man. Just freaking, it's a chain. Okay, so is the chain being shipped from Russia? is the chain Russian?
I think the chain is the color of the Russian flag.
Oh, it makes so much
and
more
taken
sense.
from Vladimir Putin's something.
Okay, so I'm just gonna follow it up. Yeah, so we're getting a Russian chain match at Extreme Rules. It feels like we're back in like the JBL era when we got a lot of these matches. So
Hey, Texas bull rope matches are awesome. You watch your tone, kid.
true, because like by the way, but before I throw it to you guys, when I heard that, I'm thinking maybe it's like a bull rope match or something, you know, like modified. No, it's just a chain that can be used in the match. I went to the WWE website and looked up the explanation. It's just a freaking chain match.
It's just chains are legal and that's it?
Yeah.
It's not like the strap match where they were like tied together or whatever?
They basically, the description on the website as of April 14th is basically that they can use the chain to whip or attack the opponent. That's it.
I loved how they justified it on Raw, where JBL said, like, yeah, the most famous ones like Bruno Sammartino and Nikita Koloff from 1970. So that's how you know the match is really relevant. But yeah, it's basically another one of those weird gimmick matches. Like we had the stare match a couple months ago. And that's basically, it's another stare match, except with a worse weapon than stairs.
Yeah. Those matches never seem to pan out well, where it's just the only difference is that, oh, this is the one weapon that's legal. It's kind of stupid, and I wish they went with more of a bull rope style or something like that, but I guess that doesn't...
How dangerous is it to link people by chain, though?
Yeah, well, it didn't have to be a chain. I don't know what's Russian about a chain versus a rope. I don't know if, like... There's
Maybe get the Russian chain gang.
But I mean, I guess a bull rope map just seems more like Southern, like Texas style or whatever. But still, like they could have done like the strap match, Yappa Pie style or something like that.
I mean, maybe they will modify it at some point. It seems so weird. But obviously, I do want to quickly ask. So we're still getting the open challenges. Cena has an open challenge on SmackDown also. We talked last week that, you know, he's almost like the perfect U.S. champion in the way that he elevates the championship because everybody knows John Cena. So is that excitement still there? Are you happy that this is a thing?
I mean, ask me in 2 weeks, basically, which is a weird answer. But the open challenge is still happening, but they're going back into Cena versus Rusev. So...
yeah, why
it's exciting right now, but who knows if it's going to stay that way.
Why isn't Rusev, like, pissed off about that? Like, what if Cena loses the title? Then what happens, you know?
Yeah, I don't think there's any, like,
these are the questions
payoff
that will conveniently not actually come up because it wouldn't work out that way. So,
like, wouldn't this almost kind of like reduce the impact of the open challenge? Like, you've got Cena versus Rusev set for Extreme Rules, but everybody else gets an open challenge.
It seems
to
like
try and win
wrestling
the
as
belt.
wrestling should be playing in the background right now, telling us, dude, you're thinking about this way too hard.
I suppose like kayfabe would say it would become like a triple threat or something like that.
Yeah, maybe. But I'm going with the themes of people challenging people for the sake of it being cool. So Dolph Ziggler comes out. You know, he likes this John Cena kid doing these open challenges, so he has one for himself. So what better way to get an answer than Neville? So Neville is the man that open challenges never forgot. We get this awesome dream match for some people, maybe. Ziggler, awesome talent. Then Neville, they are doing an amazing job of him not talking at all, but then people are just buying into everything. Obviously, the international audience definitely helped. So what's your take on this match and then the winner?
I thought it was awesome. I mean, I was really excited. I keep losing my voice today, but no, I was really excited when I saw that this match was happening. And Neville is just so friggin' smooth at like everything he does, and you can't help but like admire how amazing that 450 was on the barricade. I mean, that was just insane.
It's incredible. Neville is proof that you don't need wins to look good. Like he's lost more than he's won since he's come up, but everybody's just so all over him. It's great. I love what they're doing with Neville.
I'll say that.
DDT was amazing.
Just really everything he does. There's not really somebody on the roster that at this moment is putting on a better show than him.
No, definitely. And I like the fact that he's losing. I mean, if you look down, recent history, the guys that undefeated streaks, Bo Dallas, Ryback, even Bray Wyatt when he wasn't losing matches, even though he sort of lost his first match in that Inferno match thing, it doesn't end well. So I like the fact that he is a character with imperfections. And exactly, with Rusev, he was treading lightly with that. And then Breaking Bad quote, and then the John Cena thing happened at least. So that was good.
I honestly think that both Ziggler and Neville had more to gain with Ziggler winning there than if Neville had won, because honestly, Neville's so new that beating Ziggler would kind of make Ziggler seem like, oh, he's going to kind of be jobbing to anyone now. But you keep kind of Ziggler in that upper card status, if he can get that win, and then Neville looks good, competing against a, top-ish tier guy wherever WWE wants to put Ziggler at any given moment. But, right now he's towards the top, so, both of them just came out looking like superstars in the literal sense of the term.
And I love the fact that they keep bringing up the fact that he's an NXT champion, the longest reigning champion, I should say. So this really could be the start of many great things. Obviously, I brought it up last week. Finn Balor is maybe one of the next guys to be called up. He was actually in a dark match in the show, I believe, or somewhere around there. So I really hope to actually hold off on him a little bit, because I think he is going to move up the food chain really quickly.
I strongly believe that Neville is the first of a new generation, as kind of cheesy and cliche as that sounds, but he's the first big guy from this new NXT era that's come up and really started changing things, and it's only going to get better from here.
So I actually wanted to bring this up next week, but I'm just gonna open the wound a little bit. I'm gonna be a little bit masochistic here and see if there's room for next week. Is this the start of not just an NXT thing, but we've for so long have been, WWE is not as spotty as the Indies. There's all these comments that always come out about the WWE style and all these things. But it seems as time goes by, I'm not saying that that's not there, but the guys going up definitely changed that. I mean, the super kick has become a common move. Before, it's like, a handful of people had it. Now everybody, Luke Harper, even Bray Wyatt does a super kick every now and then.
Usos.
Exactly. Usos, Ziggler, the list is really long. These guys that come up are obviously not nearly as tall. I don't think anybody's really like 6'6". Maybe Colin Cassidy or something. But is this the new generation where instead of, not even Jericho height, it's kind of crazy, but Jericho height is almost like the standard as opposed to like an odd exception?
Yeah, how many more giants do you see coming into WWE recently? You haven't really seen a lot aside from Colin Cassidy, Baron Corbin, Other than that, NXT, which is the phase before you go to the main roster, doesn't really have a lot of giants. So it's safe to assume that, over the next decade, the wrestlers just might be accepted as, not having to be, 6'5".
And I'm totally okay with that, because I personally find giants not very exciting. Like, they're exciting for a short time, but they're kind of one-trick ponies. And once that trick runs out, that's kind of it.
Yeah, I think that there can be a really good balance of guys like Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens isn't 6'5", but you look at his fighting style, and it's a really nice balance from Neville. So I think that maybe that can be the balance that we're going to be having here. So speaking of balance, we're going to talk about Seth Rollins versus Randy Orton, but I think it's time that we split the show in half and bring up this week's
I'm a S.C.A.F man.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for this week's S.C.A.F, the Squared Circle Awesome feature. Thank you both for that amazing intro. It was
words
it was
that we
incredible.
thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it was pretty. I don't even have a word for it. All right. Are you ready? I'm gonna play the Triple H role for a second here. Are you ready?
No.
Because this week's is a slobber knocker of a post.
Oh boy.
So I was browsing the squared circle this morning when we were recording. This is a Tuesday. And I saw a post that said, and first I should say, the post is by Die for COD Grimsby. So thank you for that. And then it said, new Finn Balor t-shirt. So I'm like, oh, cool. Finn Balor's got a new t-shirt. And boy, oh boy, was I delighted to this new t-shirt. Not only, okay, so it's a t-shirt that comes in a lot of colors, which is very different, very different. And not only does it have Finn Balor's logo on the front of it, but it also has a picture of a wrestler on the front of it too. Now, the only problem with that is that picture is of Roman Reigns holding the WWE World Heavyweight Championship.
It's the old title belt too. The two belts.
Yeah. We're pretty sure it's just somebody took Randy Orton's arms and put it on a PSD of Roman Reigns.
But wait, there's more.
But exactly, there is more because the fun doesn't stop here. So after looking at the comments, the person I'm going to credit for this, it's been shown a couple times, but is Shunning Resumed, posted a shirt. It's a shirt with a picture of Renee Young on it. It's a hell of a picture. And, you know, this picture hit real close to home. Do you know why it hit close to home?
Why is that, Keith?
Well, it had a couple words on front of it that said, the weekly filler, Renee Young leaving the WWE. This amazing t-shirt company literally took one of our PSDs, took out the background, and then put it on a t-shirt.
So keep in mind, guys,
we made it.
There's just Renee Young pictures all over the internet. So somebody felt the need to pirate one of our YouTube thumbnails. And they could have easily just taken the Renee Young picture, but no, they left the weekly filler, and they're selling this shirt for like $24, man. It's freaking ridiculous.
And they didn't even take out the background properly. Like, if you go to one of the light-colored shirts, you can still see black in the background from the effect. It's great. Guys, we made it.
The only thing,
we made it.
It reminds me of just like shirts in like China or Taiwan or something where it's got all these words that make no sense, like English words, kind of like how people will have like Japanese things and they don't even know what they say. I feel like this is like, you know, their version of that, where it makes no sense. This would never make a good t-shirt ever. But no. It is technically the first piece of Byte That merchandise if you're interested in buying it. I mean, we don't make any money from it. But I don't really care because if you buy it,
if you want to buy it and then send us a picture,
please.
We will favorite and retweet the living hell out of that.
People on Reddit seem to be somewhat maybe interested in purchasing it.
You know what? I'll take it one step further. If somebody buys this shirt and tweets a picture of us, I will put it up on the main site of ByteThat.com for a week. Why not?
All right. So yeah. Byte That merchandise is now available. We have awesome shirts that I highly recommend checking out. Like, honestly, this Finn Balor t-shirt is so bad, it's good.
Yes.
Straight up.
But, I mean, on that note, it does kind of want us put a little gauge out there. Maybe people might be interested in something like a Byte That t-shirt. So, if people are interested in something like that, send us a tweet at ByteThatCast. Maybe we can make it happen.
Exactly, and support the show, can help the family. We grow together. And just who the hell would buy that shirt?
Plus,
it's a question
I can guarantee you the shirt will be cheaper and better than that shirt.
And I don't know
about better. I don't know if anything could possibly beat that, actually, but pretty good.
Somewhat.
Maybe.
So thank you, Keith, for that beautiful and earth-shattering S.C.A.F. Remember, the S.C.A.F. has replaced the tweet of the week and the pick of the week. Then maybe they'll come back in some way, shape, or form down the line. But for now, I mean, look at the standard that we have. We have a bootleg Byte That shirt with a question on it. It doesn't get much better than that. But if you do want a little bit more, you can...
A question that was relevant, like, that hasn't been relevant for about a year, give or take.
Freaking ridiculous, man. But if you do want to get more stuff, go over to our channel, youtube.com/Byte That Cast. This week, we get a new Fight Night episode. Rex Hayes explains his actions on why he turned on his future cyborg self, who was sent to the past to destroy him. Does it confuse you? Yeah. Does it give you a headache? Absolutely, man. That's what you got to do yourself a favor. I can't even talk. Do yourself a favor and check it out. And as I mentioned before, we also have an Instagram page, so instagram.com/ByteThatNoCast. We post videos, pictures. We just talk about a little bit everything because, when the podcast isn't 24/7, but we're here
and for
you.
clarification, it's just Byte That.
Exactly.
Not
On
Byte That
Instagram.
No Cast.
And actually, you'll have to check our Instagram because I will also tweet out a photo of that t-shirts following this recording.
So you want to stay tuned. So talking about the last piece regarding Raw itself, obviously we do know that Seth Rollins and Randy Orton are going to be facing each other at Extreme Rules. Now after Raw, we found out because they both had their own twist on being able to add a stipulation to the match. So we're getting a cage match where the RKO is banned. So it feels like we went into WWE 2K14, went to match rules, and just messed with that stuff. What do you guys think about this?
They couldn't have made two less exciting stipulations as far as I'm concerned. Like, cage matches, we've talked at length about cage matches and how they're basically irrelevant at this point. So, and then the other one is the fact the RKO is banned. Like, oh no.
Rumors are piling up that we're going to get actual vintage Randy Orton, and he's going to have the overdrive as a finisher.
That's kind of awesome. I actually like the RKO ban. I think it's more interesting than when they tried to ban the bro kick like a couple of years ago. Because what do they do? They try to like permanently ban the bro kick for like a little while. It just made no sense. But like Seth Rollins just calling it off for one match is kind of an interesting angle because it's like that's such an important piece of Randy Orton. It is going to force him to find another way to end the match. But when it's a cage match and there's like 1.5 billion ways to end it, it doesn't make it as interesting anymore. It kind of negates a good chunk of what banning the RKO made interesting.
The only way I see it is it's a way for Rollins to win and Randy Orton still to look good because you took the best move out of Orton's arsenal that he's dropped hundreds of people with. So now he can't drop Rollins with it. So maybe if he had the RKO, Orton could have won. Who knows?
Yeah, I think it's a cool stipulation. Personally, I'm looking forward to the match because the WrestleMania match, we talked about it last week, was awesome. So I think the RKO stipulation would have made it more sense to do the punt. Because obviously the punt is a setup move as opposed to out of nowhere. Yeah, the cage match, I think if it was like a 2 out of 3 falls match with the RKO band, it would have been nice because so many times that he's got to hit that for the victory as opposed to Rollins, who would have a huge advantage. But are you still excited about the feud aside from the match stipulation?
I have no doubt in my mind that they'll have a great match, but it just seems weird for a set of stipulations. Because, like, okay, it's a cage match. You're supposed to leave the cage. So why not make something about that instead of, like, getting someone down for a move to pin them in a steel cage?
And also just how stupid do baby faces look nowadays when they're like, I want to make sure no one interferes. I'm going to do a cage match. I can already see J&J security climbing the cage as we speak.
No.
It's like they're starting to the climb right now. It's happening. Nobody is stupid. Everyone knows there's probably going to be a ton of authority interference in this match. So it just kind of makes it pointless because every time there's a cage match and they're trying to say no interference, there's always interference.
Plus, the only logical choice for a cage match is a kennel from hell. So I just don't get it. I mean, seriously.
We need more,
no sense.
dogs taking craps on the floor.
How's Pepper doing? Never mind. Let's move on now. So, talking about news regarding the WWE Network. It's actually pretty big right now because in this month, there's obviously
Oh my
Extreme
God.
Rules. What up?
Hold on.
What up?
Stop. Try that
Hello?
again. You just spoke about Pepper. And if you want to go see Pepper in all his amazement, you can go check out. Now continue.
WWE Network and Attitude Era month thing. Woo! But yeah, there's actually a lot of cool stuff.
Transitions are easy. Really, got to get on that boat.
Yeah, it's so many boats, man. But yeah, there's something pretty cool. So this month, they posted all of the 1998 Raws on the network. So you can check all of them out, which some people are pointing out that they actually photoshopped or After Effected some Chris Benoit stuff, even on a Titantron. It's like on Squared Circle, so like the Radicals. And one of the shows they actually...
Were they even around in 98?
I don't know if it was 98 or not. Probably...
It might have been from a different clip.
Yeah, probably. But yeah. I was reading one thing and then I switched to another. It's probably off. So you know what? I'm just gonna pretend I didn't even say that. Can everybody agree to that?
Yes.
All right.
I never said it. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, 1998 Raws, and but wait, there's more. Apparently, they're also posting some of the dark matches or dark segments after those Raws, so you get to see just random interactions. Personally, I think that's awesome because I don't think we've ever seen some of that stuff. I know there's a DVD now that I think about it that came out that may have some of the stuff, so that kind of sucks. But what do you guys think? All of 98 Raws are out now.
I am personally super excited for this. Before this, they had like little bits and pieces, like they'll have a Raw from January, then July, and then somewhere in November. And I've been going back and watching all of those, but now I can go back and watch the whole year. It's my personal hope that they don't stop here because 1998 wasn't exactly the best year. Like, it's when things started picking up, but it was still that big transition phase. It's really like 1999-ish when things got crazy. Like, that's when Stone Cold kind of started fading out a little bit, and The Rock and Triple H and The Rock and Sock and all that stuff started happening. Like, this is basically the whole Austin McMahon thing, which is awesome in its own right, don't get me wrong, but I'd like to see them continue this and keep adding like everything from the Attitude Era, because I'd watch it all.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting because I didn't start watching wrestling until 2000, so obviously I know a lot of what happened before then, but like I never was able to see it on a week-to-week, Monday Night Raw type of basis. You always just kind of saw things summarized, and it's interesting Keith mentioned that like 98 wasn't like their best year because I feel like everyone always tells me that 98 was like the year. But maybe 98,
it was the Austin
99,
McMahon era, like late 98.
But
was
it is
awesome,
funny because like being able to watch Raw to Raw, will kind of help you compare it to today and see how they did things episode to episode as opposed to in summary format. And I've already seen a post on Squared Circle where someone was like, guys, it wasn't as good as we all thought. Like, this is the card and it didn't look that great or whatever. But, obviously we all have to see and judge for ourselves.
Like, even from those little bit of Raws that I've gone back and watched, it's different, but you're exactly right. It's still the same. Like, everybody remembers when Stone Cold Steve Austin came out in the beer truck and stuff, but nobody remembers the Headbangers versus the Oddities from earlier in that show. Like, all that stuff still happened, but there was still a show to fill, and it wasn't always the most impactful stuff. But it's different in the way that it was just boom, in, out, match. It was a very different style. It was very fast paced. Plus, the thing that I loved the most about it was the fans, the crowd, seeing how different it was. Like, people talk about that time and where there's just a horde of signs. Like, the entire crowd is just a sea of fan signs and stuff, like DX with the South Park, like in the South Park way, a bunch of like crazy vulgar stuff talking about WCW and Goldberg getting on certain male parts of the body and just a bunch of stuff like that. It's very fascinating because you can see what the world was like then and how different it is now.
That being said, I would have almost hated to be in one of those crowds because for all the excitement, so many signs, man. I mean, you can't see things. Like,
you wouldn't be able to see anything. It'd be terrible.
It's friggin' ridiculous. But yeah, so let us know if you've watched any of the 1998 Raws. I'm personally looking forward to checking them out because somebody pointed out, like, the 1997 Raws aren't up all. So that's kind of like it messes me up a little bit, so you can watch the year after, but in its completion because they label it as the official start of the Attitude Era. But I do think it's kind of funny how they're skipping years completely and then doing this one.
I can totally understand why they're not doing that, because most of 1997 sucked real bad. Like, DX didn't really come around till like September, October, like a couple of months before the famous Montreal Screwjob. So there's a whole lot of year where it was still that WWE where everybody complained about.
So another piece of news that I saw just before we started recording the show, apparently WWE is interested, once again, because I think they were a long time ago, in doing 3D. Welcome to a couple of years ago when that was a thing. I own it to 3D TV, so I'm not saying that 3D isn't good. I think it's actually freaking awesome. If you have a really good TV with 3D capabilities, it is the way to watch. The problem is with the glass, also there's glass-free, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, WWE going 3D. What do you guys think as a whole? Is there anything in particular you think would be cool? Or is it just something that's good for one show and then you wouldn't watch?
You know, one of the complaints we have, that's basically one of the longest running complaints that we have, is the camera work. And that doesn't sound like it would do 3D any justice. Like, let's think about the Cesaro swing. This is the first thing that came to mind. And imagine that, like, you know how they do the whoa, and imagine that in 3D. Like, you would throw up all over your living room. I can't see it being a good idea.
Yeah, because apparently it's content that's going to be exclusive, so maybe it's not like a Raw or something, but a specific show, because they had some job openings regarding this. But yeah, Ryan, what do you think about it? Whether it was a Raw, WrestleMania, or its own thing?
Unless they're planning it for like the Marine 6, I just think it's stupid. I've never really been into the 3D gimmick thing. I don't think it doesn't really enhance much for me. Like, it doesn't make the experience that much better. And wrestling just seems like a really odd fit. Oh my God, Randy Orton's coming at me. Oh my God, what a, big deal. Like, it just seems really out of place in traditional, like, a traditional Monday Night Raw. I don't know what specifically they could like shoot as an exclusive 3D thing where it's like, oh, it's just one match that they make in 3D and it's supposed to like look cool. Oh my God, he's throwing, the guy's diving into the crowd. He's gonna hit me. It's like, you kind of get over that.
3D has gone farther than that, Ryan. You're talking like Jurassic Park 3D. Jurassic Park.
I really
3D.
haven't seen too many movies go outside of that gimmick. Okay, so
there you go.
What if, guys, it has nothing to do with 3 dimensions? What if this is a secret, like, casting call for a Dudley Boys show?
What if it's 3D, like just 3D? Pixar 3D? Like, it's an animated, like, movie, huh?
That I guess I'd be into. I don't know, it'd be better than Kevin Dunn's Cesaro swing BS making me throw up all over my living room, so...
Why Kevin Dunn?
Better than that.
Or Shield beat down to, like, migraine zone.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, for those listening, let us know if you have positive experiences with 3D and you would like to see some WWE 3D going on.
So one scene that I might actually be kind of interested in seeing, like, in 3D, you know how the camera work for John Cena's entrance where he starts at the ramp and he just runs away? Like, that'd be some cool weird tunnel effect. I don't know, it seems funny in my head.
Well, we'll see what happens. 3D has come a long way, so please watch some current 3D. It's not about whoa. It's about ooh.
Yeah, I understand that, but think about the product we're talking about, where the whoa is there without 3 dimensions. It's a very real thing, and wrestling really hits the low hanging fruit, the lowest common denominator, and I don't see this being any different.
Low blow, man.
It's true, though. It's true.
It's true, but low blow, man.
Sorry, sometimes the truth hurts, Juan.
But yeah, so switching to a little bit of a feedback session. Last week, before we closed out the show, we brought up the fact that, we're thinking about positive new content coming out at some point this year. And we brought up the fact that maybe we provide commentary for old pay-per-views, old shows, and something like that on the network. Not commentary as in replacing JR and Cole and all that, but just, we hit the record button, we watch a show, so we don't try to force any sort of entertainment towards you, because naturally Keith is there, so that's going to happen eventually. But and Keith is just
well,
so
we hope
happy
it's
right now.
entertaining.
But yeah, so we wanted to thank you. We got a ton of feedback. I actually want to ask everybody listening, we talked about the 1998 Raws, the fact that maybe they're not as good as they once were. So maybe if you're interested in us watching an old show, hitting the record button and posting the commentary, and you hit play alongside the broadcast on the network, maybe you want that, let us know. Send us a tweet at ByteThatCast, or if you have any recommendations, we have a couple of them. We're not going to specify. We have terrible experience with that, specifying when we're going to do this, but it's something we're definitely looking into. So thanks once again for engaging with us on social media. I sound like Michael Cole, so you know what? I'm just going to send it over to Mr. Whoa. Forgot some. We got a Twitter question, so Mr. Poshik, take it away.
Yes, we do. Where would we be without our fans? And that's why we want to answer your questions.
Was that singing?
Robot. Nah, it was like weird. Anyway, we got one question this week. It came in from Twitter, and it's from the Poop. Pop those peas. At
Poop.
At Coop the Poop with
It's like an old
2
man.
O or yeah.
Poop.
On
Poop.
Twitter. On the poopin'. All right, so he asks, who would be a better heel, Reigns or Cena?
Brains?
Brains.
I said Reigns.
Sound like brains.
Don't hate. Don't hate me
Brains.
because I'm beautiful.
All right.
Anyway, my answer would be Roman Reigns. I think he'd be a much better heel than John Cena. He's teetering that line still, just in character. Like, we know he's a babyface, but he's he could go either way still, where John Cena's just John Cena. There is a literal podcast that you can go listen to why Cena would not be a good heel. So, yeah.
I think John Cena is already a better heel than Roman Reigns. He gets booed all the time, so he does a pretty good job. I definitely think Cena, he's just got the, charisma out the yin-yang. He's done it before. I mean, Reigns has been a heel too, but he's never been like a solo heel. Cena's just like, he's done it all. He's a veteran. So, Cena.
I'm sort of split. I think that Cena would make the obvious better heel, but I think Reigns would make the more interesting heel, because with Cena, you kind of know what you can expect. You're not going to expect Darth Maul or Darth Vader type heel. You're going to be like John Cena against the people or something like that, But with Reigns, it's an open forum because he hasn't really had that experience, because the Shield doesn't count. The Shield, I don't think, were ever heels. They were badass people that you either booed or cheered, because I never really found them to be heels. So that's pretty much my answer. And if I had to pick one, like say right now, next week, one of the two has to go heel, I would go with Roman Reigns, but he would have to go to great lengths to not just be a generic, oh, people, you didn't like me, so I don't like you anyway, heel, because that would be bad. So thank you, sir, for that Twitter question, and for everything else, Mr. McNulty, take it away.
All right, so we want to thank everyone for tuning into another edition of the Byte That podcast. But before we go, there's just a few more things I got to tell you.
We're almost there.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Yes, subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ByteThatCast. Like Vaughn said, we got another edition of Fight Night going up, along with, I posted a video this weekend about how you can be a part of Fight Night if you would like to, and you can check out that video for more details on that. Of course, don't forget our social media. You can check out our new Instagram by searching Byte That on Instagram. You can follow us on Twitter at ByteThatCast. And you can check out our Facebook, facebook.com/ByteThatCast. For everything else, go to ByteThat.com. And of course, if you want that lovely Renee Young t-shirt, you can search for that. I believe it is on Amazon, and it's got to be illegal in some way, but it's technically Byte That merch, sort of.
Yeah, just search Renee Young t-shirt WWE.
Yes.
And it'll be the first thing that comes
The
up.
completely unofficial, unendorsed Byte That merchandise. If you want to check that out, for a good laugh. Anyway, I've spoken way too long, so we will see you guys next time.